So I said that I was going to make Genshin from another point of view, and I'm doing good on those words. While Genshin's story is stunning and all, it's also important to understand that Genshin itself is a cultural phenomenon. It's a game that broke borders internationally for gacha gaming, and has gotten popular to the point that its characters are seen around everywhere, even outside gaming stuff. So now, with that being said, I need your help. Yes, you who have probably played Genshin at least once in your life if you're watching this video. So I'd really want to know your experiences based on everything you've done and seen throughout your time playing it. With that, I decided to make some surveys and see what happens. Granted, these are all just for fun surveys, and honestly, I'm just here to see the results. Hehe. So the first survey is about Genshin lore. I cover a lot of Genshin, so I'm curious what you people actually think about the lore itself. I started a survey a while back to know how much players watch and read the lore, like if they're getting it from YouTubers like me, or maybe they go into the archives and read it straight from the source. I decided to redo that survey, where I ask what kind of lore sources you usually read and how frequently. Like, do you do primary sources like from the game itself, or maybe secondary sources like YouTubers and Reddit posts? Then I ask about general topics on how knowledgeable you are on a variety of important lore bits in Genshin from across the nations, and also how confident you are about your general lore knowledge. Then the next part is, what do you think about Genshin lore in general? Do you think it's important? Do you think it's easy to read? And do you think it's even necessary to enjoy the game? Then the last part is, how often do you talk about Genshin lore to others? In the survey, I called it dissemination, but honestly, that's just the simpler terms. I actually did a pre-test of this before to see how feasible the survey really is, so imagine my surprise when I realized my pre-testing sample size was over 4,000. That was very interesting to scour through. And my PSPP kept breaking along the way, I'll be honest, so whatever. Now, the second survey is about the best and the worst of Genshin, according to Genshin Impact players. This survey is a bit different from the previous one, because I want to know your opinions on who is the best character or who is the worst character in different kinds of categories. Now, besides this just accidentally being a PvP for everyone, the actual purpose of this survey is to see how you guys as community form your consensus around the following topic. For example, if you were to say that a character is good in terms of how nice they look, how nice they are in combat, what's your criteria, or what's the general criteria that the community has whenever they make that kind of decision? That's what I'm honestly really curious about. So, I decided that I was going to make a survey of that. The first part is asking who is the best in Genshin in regards to several categories. Who is the best visual design, who is the best combat design, who has the best story quest, and etc. And then counterpart to that, a complete 180, is the worst of Genshin in regards to the same categories. And the third part of that is, again, what do you consider when deciding who was the best and who was the worst for the different categories? And each of those categories are broken down exhaustively for what do you consider as combat, do you consider their weapon, their element, their playstyle, and etc. I'm honestly just curious about this topic. Now, the third survey here is the drip marketing. What are your interests in characters, and what influences your reason to purchase stuff? Or how often do you purchase Welkins, Primogems, and other things in regards to how excited you are about characters? So, number one is, I wanted to ask, what makes you interested about Genshin Impact in general? First is that, are you interested in the combat? Are you interested in the lifestyle events? Are you interested in the lore? Because obviously, you're not gonna pay for Genshin if you don't like Genshin. Unless you're a content creator or a whale that's just happy to gamble, you know what I mean? But most of the time, you're only going to be purchasing things when you actually like the product. And then going deeper into that, I'm also going to be asking about what aspects of the character are you most interested in? What do you consider when you pull? Do you consider their design? Do you consider the amount of content that they were in prior to their release? You know, the little things like that. And then once you answer what do you consider whenever you think about Genshin, the next part is, what do you buy? How much do you buy? When did you buy? Do you buy the Welkins? Do you buy the Battle Pass? Are you a whale? Are you a dolphin? Those are what I defined in the survey as the purchase intention and the purchase behaviors of the customer. And my hypothesis is that you're actually going to pay for something that you actually like. If you don't, then oh no. And then the fourth section is honestly just, how fair do you think the Genshin system is when it comes to Primogems? This is not really inside the scope of the research itself, quote unquote, but more so that I'm interested in how agreeable do you find the following statement: the Primogems needed for one pool is reasonable and fair. But that's it for me today. Just plugging in this survey because, again, I'm taking a break from Genshin lore itself, and I'm focusing my attention to you guys. I think that a really big community like Genshin Impact, especially for a gacha community that could be on borderline gambling if it weren't for some loopholes, is honestly one of the more interesting audiences to study. And as someone that really wants to do audience research once I get older, I guess I'm just gonna try this out for myself. So the links to the surveys are down below if you guys are interested in any of the topics, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye!